All right, ladies and gentlemen, what is up? Welcome back to another episode of the Squad Goals podcast. I'm your host, Gabe Lerziak, and we've got one of our co-stars, Seth, with us.
What is up, guys?
Alrighty, and we are recording this on the night of Thanksgiving. So unfortunately, Simone's back with his family. He can't be here to record, but we're doing this in honor of him. We had to get it because we are doing an episode today where we recap and evaluate all of the match day 1 games of this World Cup from Group A to Group H. All 32 teams have played their first game, and the second games start tomorrow. Seth, overall reactions to this match day 1?
It's been really interesting. We've had some insane upsets. We've had some insane just demolishes and crazy stat lines. Like it really was a crazy first round in the group stage. A lot to unpack here. So let's get into it.
Let's get into it indeed. 16 games to cover. We'll go through them nice and easy. And let's just start right away. Let's just not skip any or not delay this any further. The very first game, which seems like a long time ago now, even though it was just 5 days ago, but Qatar versus Ecuador, the only game that was this past Sunday. Ecuador comes out with the win, a 2-0 win over Qatar. Is this kind of what you expected? Were you expecting a little bit more from Qatar? What did you think about this game, the first one of the World Cup?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say I was really impressed with Ecuador. I mean, their, opening game against the hosts Qatar. It's a really tough place to play, but they came and showed out, and I was very impressed with their play. I thought they deserved even more than a 2-0 win. I mean, they looked very poised, collective, calm on the ball, just a lot stronger of a side than Qatar, in my opinion. Ener Valencia getting a brace, well deserved, very strong striker for Ecuador.
Yeah.
I think Ecuador has a real shot to, make some noise in their group in the next 2 games. And yeah, I was just very impressed with them overall. They didn't seem to exert too much energy in this game, played it safe, played it smart, and just outdid Qatar in almost every aspect of the game. Qatar, on the other hand, I was a little shocked. I thought, being the hosts, having that fan base behind them, especially it being opening game, I thought they'd come to play with a little bit more fire, but it just wasn't there. And
they become the first host nation to lose their opener.
Yeah, it just really wasn't there for Qatar, and they just didn't stand a chance against this very young, talented Ecuadorian team. So I just don't see much promise for Qatar in the rest of this tournament. But yeah, very good, solid win for Ecuador to start the World Cup.
There we go. Yeah, a very solid game. Interesting game to start the World Cup. Both of these teams will be playing literally in a few hours, if not already, by the time this video is up. So hopefully you guys are looking forward to that. But let's move on to the next game. Monday morning, we had 3 games. The last Group A game of Matchday 1 and then the 2 Group B games. We'll start with the Group B game. We'll go in order here but off of time. And we're going to talk about England showing up against Iran. England with a 6-2 domination, a bludgeoning, one might say, of Iran. I don't know if anyone predicted that one. I think we were predicting maybe like a 3-goal max difference, but 4 goals of goal differential, 6 total for England. Seth, considering that the U.S. has to play England next, how do you think England showed up against Iran?
I was really impressed with England's performance. They looked like a complete team, like they should be. Moved the ball really well in all phases of the game. Their attacking strategy and interplay was just really well done. We're able to move the ball quickly, get it up the field quickly. Um, really put a lot of pressure on this Iranian defense, and they were scoring their goals, scoring their chances.
Mm.
I mean, they deserve this win big time, um, and England. I'm just surprised. I'm surprised because of what we saw in the Nations League. I mean, they really struggled, and
Mm.
a lot of people were worried, including me, about them heading into this World Cup. Like, how would Gareth Southgate get this team to gel together, work well together, and figure it out? And this was a really good start for them. Really
Mm.
good start because they're not a pushover. They were sleepers heading into this tournament, but England showed them who
That
the big dogs still are. And
they're legit.
yeah, Iran on the other hand, I mean, like they
That
obviously they got a couple goals, so
they lost their keeper in the first 15 minutes of the game too.
they did lose their keeper. That was very unfortunate. Um, but they showed glimpses of hope and good play on the
Mm.
attacking side. Obviously, that defense is definitely going to need some help as they got gashed by 6 goals. Um, but they showed hope. They kept fighting until the very end, getting that penalty kick at the end to at least make it, -4 instead of -5 for goal differential for them. Like,
Mm.
because that all matters. So like they were fighting to the end, and I just I think they'll be okay in this tournament. I mean, they got definitely the toughest team out of the way early, but
Yeah.
um, that definitely didn't help their case to advance to the next round. But yeah, very well deserved win for England. And they look very scary. I'm very worried for the U.S. A lot of talent and a lot of good plays and a lot of good attacking plays for England on that side of the ball.
Yeah, England could not have had a better start to their World Cup. So we'll see how they continue it against the United States. But, anyways, let's move on. We still got quite a few games to cover. So the next Group A game we're going back to Group A, is Senegal versus the Netherlands. And this game, watching live, was really interesting. It was really close, wire to wire. And now, after watching, a little bit of the game, some of the highlights, do you think Senegal got unlucky? Should they have gotten some points away from this? What do you take away from this match?
Yeah, this was definitely an interesting match. Senegal certainly got unlucky. I mean, even without their man Sadio Mane, still a very solid squad. They had some really good chances against this Dutch team. It kind of exposed their back line just with their speed and quickness on the ball. And man, they came so close
Mm.
so many times, but just failed to find the back of the net. And the Dutch were able to capitalize on a couple of counterattacks and score a couple of very nice goals. Um, but man, this game could have easily been a draw. Could have even been a Senegal win.
Mm.
The Dutch, I mean, they looked all right. Nothing crazy. Um,
They got it done when they had to. So
they did. They did. Um, yeah, I'm a little worried about them going for. I really like Memphis Depay as a player. I'm shocked he didn't really start that game.
mm.
Because I feel like the Dutch need that number 9, that goal scorer. Um, but they were still able to find a way through their wingers, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters is getting those 3 points, and they took care of business. And the Dutch, in my opinion, is still a very strong team, and they can definitely make some noise for sure. Senegal, though, I'm impressed. I was very impressed with what I saw. I think
Mm.
they're going to be just fine. Um, and their match against Qatar and Ecuador definitely will be, especially Ecuador in that third game, will be
That'll
really
be
interesting.
important. Yeah.
But both these teams showed why they're two of the best in the world, and um, definitely both had quite a few chances, missed a lot of their chances, but you could see the quality that both teams possess and
Yeah.
the talent of players. So yeah, it was definitely a entertaining game though, to say the least.
Yeah, I would have to agree. But regardless, let's we'll have to move on. We still have a lot of games to cover and it's getting late, but we have now the United States. And we watch the United States. We're United States fans. We're obviously rooting for the US this World Cup because we're American. And the US went up against Wales and you know, I don't know. I think you predicted we'd lose. Simone predicted we'd win, I believe. But we ended up getting a draw, a 1-1 draw. We had a brilliant first half. The U.S. had a nice goal in the 36th minute or something around that time, and then we just didn't do it the second half and gave up a lazy penalty to Gareth Bale, who's not gonna miss, and ended up being a draw. Seth, did we miss a chance to get 3 points here?
We really did. I mean, you couldn't have said it better. We came flying out of the gates, started so well. That first half, we were just pushing and pushing. Um, really good interplay, linking up well with our midfield and forwards, creating a lot of good chances. Only was able to get one goal out of it, unfortunately. I think we could have gotten one, maybe even two more.
Mm,
But what we failed to do was adjust in that second half. Um, Wales obviously did. They properly adjusted. But I mean, that's kind of what you get with a young, inexperienced squad is, um, obviously that first half they came flying out, but, obviously the adrenaline's pumping. They're young. A lot of them, it's their first World Cup. They're
mm.
all excited. But you got to, if you're going to do that the first half, you got to keep it going the second half. And they just didn't. They fell off. They allowed Wales to gain possession, start creating good chances of their own, and eventually one of those chances led to a poor penalty given by Walker Zimmerman on a tackle he shouldn't have done on Gareth Bale, leading to his penalty kick, which ultimately tied the game. So,
Mm.
yeah, we left 3 points on the table for sure. I think we definitely in the first half were the better side. Wales in the second half were the better side. Pretty even game, if you consider that all. But yeah, I think the U.S. we got to do a better job adapting to our opposition
Mm.
um, in the second half if changes are made.
Yeah, that's pretty much the name of the game. We're gonna have to learn, and we're gonna have to learn quick because we have a super tough England opponent, and depending on how Wales does against Iran this morning, it might be make or break for this U.S. men's national team. So we'll have to see what happens. But we're all crossing our fingers, and we're still gonna be rooting for them you know, through thick and thin. So we will see what happens. But a draw's a draw. At least we got 1 point instead of 0. So we'll look on the bright side.
Very true.
But a team that got 0 points the next morning that none of us expected. Argentina somehow lost to Saudi Arabia 2-1. We were both like just chilling in bed watching because it was 5 a.m., 6 a.m. for us. So like we weren't getting up yet. But I turned the game on. I was like, damn, Saudi Arabia is up 2-1. It wasn't until after the game that I saw Saudi Arabia's 2 goals. And that second one in particular was kind of nice. But also,
Yeah.
Argentina had a lot of goals called back. What do you think happened there? What do you think was there more to just those offside callbacks that Argentina failed to capitalize on this Saudi Arabian team?
I mean, yeah. First off, this one of the biggest upsets in World Cup history right
Oh
here.
yeah.
Saudi Arabia beating Argentina, ending their 36-game win streak. They were 2 games away from breaking Italy's record of 37. So that
It's
is
absolutely crazy.
brutal. Like you said, hats off to Saudi Arabia. I mean, that second goal was superb.
Mm.
Beautiful goal by Saudi Arabia. Um, but Yeah, Argentina. I mean, you're right. They had what, three? Maybe it was 4 goals ruled off
Mm,
for offsides. One of them, I think, was confirmed that it wasn't offsides. Actually, um, it's a weird situation. Like that's that's a really tough pill to swallow.
mm,
Being called offsides like that many times, getting that many goals disallowed. But as strong as this Argentinian team is, like you gotta still find a way. You have to still find a way. You have playmakers all over the field.
mm.
I mean, they were creating chances. Um, they were doing really. I mean, like they didn't play poorly. I mean, it wasn't their best display. I mean, they were creating chances, doing what they could,
Mm.
um, but it just wasn't enough. It wasn't enough, and Saudi Arabia was able to just park the bus on defense.
Yeah.
And after they got their 2 goals in a span of 5 minutes, I think. So for the rest of the second half, they just really parked the bus, and um, Argentina just kind of struggled to break through from there. I mean, I, this nobody had this. Like this was just the upset of the World Cup so far.
Mm.
Um, but listen, you don't want to count out Argentina. I mean, Spain, they lost their first game in 2010,
Mm.
and then what happened? They
Winning the whole thing.
went on to win the whole thing exactly. So this could just be a little bump in the road.
Mm.
Honestly, it could be really good motivation for them going forward. So I'm not too worried about Argentina, but that was definitely a shocker, very unexpected. We just, you know, we
Yeah,
we
no
we
one saw that one coming.
we just yeah, like I mean
We
when you
were all
have
thrown for a loop.
yeah, I mean when you have 70% of the possession, 15 shots, 6 on target, like
Yeah.
y- you know, and then 3, 4 offside, like it's
It
so tough.
hurts.
It's so tough to lose like that, but you gotta like I was saying about the other game, you gotta be able to adapt.
Mm.
Gotta be able to adapt. The USA game, sorry, that's what I was saying it about. You gotta be able to adapt and um, just find a way and be able to break through this Saudi Arabian defense, and they just weren't able to do that. So, like I said, kudos to Saudi Arabia.
Mm.
They got those 3 points, biggest 3 points they'll ever get.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see what happens for both these teams in Group C.
Yeah, very curious. Even with this loss, I think Argentina is still very much in it, and Group C is still
Yeah.
a very competitive group.
Yes.
But let's move on to a Group D match, the next match up in order. This one is interesting. Denmark versus Tunisia. This one ended in a 0-0 draw, but this one could have also ended like 3-3, or it could have
Yeah.
ended like 3-1 to any of the sides, but it ended 0-0. Why do you think that is?
This was a really interesting game. Obviously Denmark. You guys know how I feel about Denmark.
This is the dark horse.
The big dark horse team for me. Um, you know, that's a really good question. I mean, both these teams, like, they played well. It was
Mm.
it was very evenly matched. Um, I think Denmark was a little bit of a stronger team, but dude, Tunisia, man, they were playing with passion, heart,
Mm.
and giving it their all. You could just see it.
They
If
had a
you,
goal too that was called back.
they did, and they really were pushing
They came out
this
flying.
this Denmark defense and um, really testing their limits. So
Mm.
I mean, Tunisia's a solid team, man. Like they play hard. They play really hard, and excuse me, Denmark just weren't able to really break through. I mean,
Right.
Denmark had some really good chances. Like I said, Denmark's a really dangerous team when they're able to get into the 18, deliver crosses into the 18.
Mm.
Um, and they had some very good shots on goal. I think they had one hit the post or crossbar. Like it came super close on quite a few occasions, but like I said, Tunisia, they just held their own,
Hmm.
played strong, and really fought and dug for this 0-0 draw. Um, but at the same time, they also gave Denmark some trouble, and um, that was I was pretty impressed with Tunisia to see that. So um, I think they have a good chance to do something here in
Mm.
this group. Denmark, I'm not worried about. I still have them definitely advancing in this group. I think they'll be just fine. Um, once because I thought they played really well. And
Yeah.
not obviously not the best, but once they start, once the goals start coming in, because they came so close so many times, like those goals are gonna come, and Denmark will be fine. So
Mm.
yeah, but definitely very interesting game in this tournament for sure.
Yeah. That this is a game. Yeah, this is a game. That's all. That's all I can really say. A game that ended 0-0 and a very interesting one. The scoreline doesn't really reflect the action and the intensity that this game brought.
Mm.
But let's talk about another 0-0 game. The very next game was Mexico versus Poland. And wow, this game was something else. I mean, as Polacks ourselves, well over 50%, I don't even know, 75% Polish or whatever like that. Obviously, we were rooting for Poland, and we're still kind of butthurt with the penalty miss by Lewandowski, but that's totally fine. Um, we got a point anyway off of Mexico, which is fine enough. Poland's not the strongest European team, and Mexico does somehow relatively well at the World Cup. But yeah, overall it just ended 0-0. And I don't know about you, but to me, besides that penalty kick, if that like didn't really happen, honestly didn't really feel like either team like deserved to win that game. It just like wasn't. I don't think each team was like coming out as swinging as much as they should have.
No, they weren't. Pretty sloppy, in my opinion, on both sides of the ball. Um, just the game, it opened up a
Mm,
lot, and both teams were just failing to hit that final pass. That's really what it was, especially Mexico. Like the chances were there, but they just couldn't get that final pass through.
mm,
Obviously, Poland with Lewandowski's missed penalty. Um, just very heartbreaking, brutal to see. But I agree. I think you said it well. I don't think either team truly deserved to come out a win. I think a draw was probably the best result.
mm.
Um, but yeah, that was definitely a little bit of a worrying game, I think, for both teams. I mean, kind of sloppy on both ends. Obviously, you had some bright spots here and there, but yeah, just a little disappointed, honestly. Didn't because it just didn't do much for me. I mean, there were chances, there
Mm.
were chances on both sides, but just like the technical ability, um, and for me, it really was that the passing in the final third, just
Mm.
poor on both sides. So, yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with these two teams in their next two games. But yeah,
Definitely left a lot on the table.
yeah, definitely gonna have to
Step it up, or Saudi Arabia might come and take second place.
definitely gonna have to change it up, and you know have a little more quality
Mm.
for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, really nothing much else to say about that game. We wish Poland would have walked away with three, but like we said, one's better than nothing. They're ahead of Argentina for the time being. They play Saudi Arabia next, and Mexico has to play Argentina. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how Group C happens after match
Mm.
day two. But regardless, a tie is a tie. And let's move on to the last Group D match for this first match day one. France versus Australia. I didn't really get to see this game live, but when I was checking it and I saw that Australia went up 1-0, I was like, oh my God, this is actually happening. Australia might do something crazy here. And I didn't really know who to root for. You know, we're all rooting for France to get that World Cup curse. Of course, we're on the Simone Australia hate train as well for knocking Peru out of the World Cup. But ultimately, you know, France showed, you know, France just raw talent just came through in like the later first half and second half, and they just knocked four in. And Isaiah's favorite player, Olivier Giroud, right, believe, scored 2 goals. Our friend Isaiah.
Yep.
Yeah. How would you rate France's performance?
Really good. Um, Obviously struggled at the beginning.
Mm,
Australia getting the opening goal. Um, they definitely ceded a lot of possession to them and were struggling to win 50-50s to start and looked a little shaky. But after that goal, wow, did they come together? I mean, they look strong. They looked really good. I mean, when you have Kylian Mbappe on one side and Dembele on the other, two fantastic dribblers of the ball, two players that can easily beat you one on one.
mm.
It's scary. It's really scary. Um, and obviously, I was always worried about this France team with the World Cup curse and the fact that they've lost 6 really good players to injury. Like, I was
Wild.
worried about this French team coming into the World Cup, but they made a big statement against Australia in this game, and they look good. They look good. So I
Mm,
think France is gonna be okay actually.
mm.
Um, and yeah, they just created a lot of chances. Were on the front foot, kept possession um,
Right.
for most of the game, and they look like the France team from maybe not quite as good from the 2018 World Cup, but there were
They're contending for
glimpses.
sure.
There were glimpses, and they definitely look strong in all
Oh
aspects
yes.
and all phases of the game. So look out for France because they could be dangerous here.
France is legit. So
Yeah,
we're definitely gonna be
and
keeping an eye out.
then Australia on the other hand, I I mean, it looked good from the start, but
They also had a second really close chance as well.
they did. They
But
did. They had a couple of very close chances,
but
but
after that,
it's just the quality is not there, unfortunately, for Australia, and I just can't see them really
getting out.
even mustering a point in this
Mm,
group. I think it's especially with Denmark and Tunisia and how good both those teams looked.
it could
Yeah.
be a tough road ahead
Sorry,
for them.
Australia. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
Simone will be happy about that. So.
Yes, he will. Oh boy. Well, yeah, that's a game and a half. We'll see how both those teams do going forward. But France definitely looking good so far, and we will keep our eye out for them. But another team we kind of have to keep our eye out right now, in a different sense, is Croatia, and They played Morocco, and when I first saw you that morning, yesterday morning actually, because these games they go by so
Mhm.
fast in the group stage. So yesterday morning, you came downstairs and you were like, you're like, what happened to Croatia? They tied 0-0 to Morocco. And so, why did you have that specific reaction to Croatia's performance?
Well, I mean, I really do like this Croatian national team. I think they have a lot of good talent, very strong players. Obviously, they're an aging squad. A lot of their players are getting older, um, but they're it's the they're still very good technically, and even though they play slower,
Mm,
they still have the ability to just be so creative and can beat you just with one pass. And I felt really good about this Croatian team going to this World Cup, and I still feel like they'll be all right. I
mm-hmm.
mean, they played well. I thought both teams played well. Morocco, they're a young, exciting team. Definitely gave Croatia a run for their money.
Oh yeah, oh
Um,
yeah.
they had some pretty good opportunities, um, but yeah, I just think Luka Modric, man, for this Croatian team, he really is the heart and soul of that team. Like
Mm,
again, just every time he wears that jersey, he just always he represents for them, man, and he shows out and he just shows you why he is that guy.
mm,
Um, but yeah, it was a just obviously I didn't catch the game, but watching the highlights, like it was it seemed like both teams, you know, going back and forth for a little bit here and there, but um I know Croatia had some very good chances as well, just like Morocco, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about both these teams now. I mean, Morocco, they're young, they're exciting, but I just don't know if they have the talent. Obviously, they have Hakimi and Ziyech who are very good, but they're in a tough group, so
mm.
I'm not sure how it's gonna go for them. But Croatia, I think Croatia will be okay. Um, I think the Canada game is going to be a really interesting test. Another young,
That'll be
very
an important
flashy,
one.
exciting team.
Hmm.
Um, but as long as their players just stay healthy for Croatia and they're able to just, keep possession, play smart, be creative with the ball like they usually are,
Mm.
and actually put the ball in the back of the net, I think they'll be okay. But yeah, for this match, I mean, you know, from what I saw, just it was what it was. I mean,
Right.
no team really looked like. I mean, I guess Croatia maybe deserved to win that to get at least a goal there, but I think a 0-0 draw was pretty respectable.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. 0-0. Um, and we'll just have to see how each team performs going forward because that group is also wide open. But
Yeah,
let's go to the other group. The next three games that day, yesterday, were definitely a lot more interesting. Starting off with the Germany versus Japan game. And boy, am I on the Japan hype train because holy cow. They did something that not many people predicted, and they did it. They beat Germany. They beat them 2-1. Germany looked good in that first half. They got that PK goal, and they had another goal, but that was disallowed for offsides right before the half ended.
mm,
And then they had a couple of solid chances. Like there was some guy, I think Musiala was his name, had like a
yep,
phenomenal
yep.
sequence that he
Hmm.
just skied open. So Germany had quite a few chances, but then eventually, Japan with their strategy of just holding back and then getting those quick counter with their speed, um, they hit that twice and managed to get two goals out of it in the span of like 8 minutes and
Yeah,
took not just 2 points away from Germany but all 3 points away from Germany. So that's a huge game for Japan. And Germany having to play Spain next after their performance is a going to be a brutal road for them up ahead. So, like, how crucial was this game for Japan, and how crucially bad was this for Germany?
yeah. This was a huge one for Japan. I mean, you said it perfectly. I mean, this Japanese team, they're dangerous. Um, People keep underestimating them, but they have good talent and they displayed why um, you shouldn't take them lightly.
They're not
I
messing around.
I mean they only had 26% possession in this game, but all they need is counterattacks. All they need is to um, get a couple of good counterattacks,
Hmm.
and they'll hurt you. They really will hurt you, and they showed it in this game against Germany. So this was a huge win for Japan, and Japan not only could they make some noise in this group, but in this whole tournament. So
Mm.
this could be really interesting, and that was definitely huge for Japan because obviously they still have Spain to go.
Yeah.
Who's we know what they did. But
We'll get there.
for Germany, this it's kind of scary. It's kind of scary, man. I mean, um, they, yeah, Jamal Musiala, what a talent. I mean, when he was on the field, he was electrifying. He was just dribbling through players. He almost scored goal of the tournament, dribbling through 5 players in the box, and
Yep.
that was almost so beautiful. But even with him in, and when they took him out, like Germany just they didn't look great. I mean, they had chances. I mean, they had 26 shots, but only 9 of them were on target. So not really quality chances. But yeah, I mean, they got exposed. They truly got exposed. And you know, that can happen when you dominate possession and you hold such a high line, and you make one mistake, give the ball away, and boom, team's already in your 18. So that's exactly what Japan was able to do. But I'm not liking Germany's situation going into
The second match,
the second match.
they could very easily
They could
crash
be,
out.
They could be out, and I could very easily see that happening. So I'm very worried. This was a poor result for Germany. They did not need this, but yeah, that's just what happens when you take a team too lightly. And yeah, just I'm very excited and proud for Japan, though. They played well, and
Japan
they
is going crazy.
Interesting, yeah.
Yes, sir. So we'll love to keep up with Japan and see how they do in this tournament, because it'll be exciting to watch. But this next game, oh my lord. So Spain went up against Costa Rica, and it got to a point, honestly, where I just started to feel bad for Costa Rica. Like, you know, like I was genuinely like, all right, stop. Like, they're already dead. Like Costa Rica's like a decent team, but then Spain, I don't know what happened. Like Costa Rica's keeper hasn't played in a hot minute. Like, he's been out for 5 months, and Costa Rica, you know, historically has a decent defense, but Spain, I mean, you called it on the podcast. Spain's midfield was just going to expose, and that's pretty much what it came down to. In case you guys don't know, which I don't know how you guys don't know, 7-0, Spain won and beat Costa Rica. Not only does that pretty much eliminate Costa Rica from the group already with a -7 goal differential, but Spain pretty much is good to advance at this point with a +7 goal differential. Seth, I mean,
that was
what happened here.
I mean, that was just a statement win for not just the group, but the whole World Cup.
Are they like favorites to win the whole thing now? Like,
they're up there.
What's happening?
They're honestly up there. I mean, it was beautiful by Spain. Everything they did in that game was beautiful. I said it in our initial World Cup prediction podcast about Spain, about their midfield, about it being the best midfield at this World Cup. They just proved it. I know Costa Rica's, you know, they're not the most crazy opponent, but like Costa Rica's still a solid, you know,
they have
supposedly a solid side, right? And Spain put 7 past them. Just beautiful technical play, beautiful creativity by both Pedri and Gavi, who I love. I mean, Spain was clicking. They were clicking on all phases. It looked so good. I don't have a single complaint for Spain. I mean, they looked perfect in this game, and that's rare for me to say, but they really did. And
they drew up the game plan, just executed it too perfectly.
I mean, I was telling you and Simone about this in the prediction podcast. I was telling you guys about Spain and to look out for them, and that they're going to be dangerous because they're a mix of very strong young talent, but also some very savvy veterans. So, and they truly just proved it right here. So,
yeah, they look scary. And
and yeah, for Costa Rica, I mean, yeah, they're done. They're done already. It was just
they face Japan next. Japan looks good.
Yeah, it's just they just got outclassed completely, talent wise, and just everything. They were just outdone by, and they just didn't stand a chance. Even playing five in the back, it just trying to hold a strong line, they just got beat. And yeah, I got nothing else to say about this game. I mean,
Yeah, at this point, it just feels
just a
bad.
masterclass from Spain. Sorry, Costa Rica. It's not happening for you this year.
You know, hey, maybe 2026, but I mean,
Maybe.
wow, Spain, it might be for them 2022 because holy cow, they
Mm-hmm.
put on a show. But yeah, these next games will be very interesting. If Spain does anything close to what they do to Germany, oof, then we'll be talking. But
Mm-hmm.
we'll get there when we get there. The last game of this day, we watched it. Belgium versus Canada, and oh boy, even though the result is what people expected, the game itself was definitely not. Do you think Canada deserved to win this game? And do you think that if Canada somehow crashes out of this group stage, which I mean at this point now it's plausible, will they be looking back at this game?
100%. I mean, this was this was a little shocking because Canada kind of dominated the game, which is very weird to say
Yeah.
against Belgium of all teams. But I mean, again, another young, flashy, exciting team. They came in and
They have good chemistry.
yeah, and they really pushed the pace against this Belgian team. And just like the Croatian team, this Belgium team is getting old. Like their golden generation.
Everyone's talking about it.
It's kind of it's done after this World Cup. So, Belgium, they are playing a lot slower now, but they really struggled against this Canadian team who are just full of youngsters, full of speed, and good dribbling, good wingers. And man, Canada had chance after chance after chance. But I gotta say, Courtois, that is why he's the best keeper in the world. I mean, he saved an
went by him.
Alphonso Davies penalty. I mean, he was making save after save after save for this Belgian team and really kept them in it. But the thing is Belgium showed their experience. They they waited, they were patient, and even though they didn't really control the game, they found that one ball over the top to Batshuayi, buried it, and that's all they needed.
Yeah.
And they made some good plays at the end to keep possession, kind of do a little time wasting, just some like veteran like stuff that you would get from a team like Croatia or Belgium, like just some smart strategic footballing is the word I'll use for that. For Belgium. So yeah, but Canada's gonna be really disappointed they didn't at least get a point from this game. So I'm very worried for Croatia actually, because that's who they play next, and this could be bad for Croatia because Canada is gonna be coming in hot. So yeah, I think Canada will. I don't know. I don't want to say Canada's gonna get out of this group, but after that game,
they'll definitely
out
be
of the
looking
four
for something.
teams, they look like the best in the two games from Morocco, Croatia in this game. So we'll see what happens. That Croatia game is gonna be really good, really fun to watch. So we'll see what happens there. But but for me, Belgium, I think they'll be okay. I mean, they still have talent everywhere, but
you have
they need
no
to
really concerns for Croatia against Croatia or Morocco. You don't think?
I mean, not as much concern as I had against Canada. So, because
they might be
neither
better
of
their
those
speed.
Neither of those teams are as fast as Canada, and Belgium's a bit of a slower team. So I think they'll be able to
keep up,
play to their pace, and maybe control the midfield and dominate possession like they normally do. So
Yeah,
yeah,
Belgium might
we'll
be
see
just
what
fine.
happens.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that was a good breakdown, and yeah, very excited to see what Canada does and how that group shapes out. But let's
Mm-hmm.
get to the final match day, or just the final day in general of match day one. Thanksgiving Day, it was generally tough to see all these games happen, but we did
Yep.
our best to check them all out. The 5 a.m. game, at least our time, was Switzerland versus Cameroon, probably the one we checked out the least. But Switzerland eventually came out on top with a 1-0 defeat. Was this kind of what you expected?
Um. Yeah. I mean, I did expect Switzerland to win this game. I thought they'd win it by a little bit more, but I gotta say, man, after watching those highlights, Cameroon, they had some pretty good chances actually.
Hmm.
Um, they looked fast, they looked explosive. Um, their counterattacks were like kind of deadly,
Hmm.
and they came very close on multiple occasions to getting a goal.
Hmm.
Super unlucky actually. Um, but yeah, Switzerland's just experience and um, poise was really what was able to push them through. Um, they had some good chances of their own. They were able to obviously break through
Hmm.
with Embolo in the 40th minute, win that game. So that's all they need. They just needed those 3 points. They got it done. But I I I, I gotta say I apologize to Cameroon because I really thought Cameroon was just gonna
Fall flat out of the group.
yeah, just be done, get destroyed in every game. I just didn't have a lot of promise for them, but they
They held
look
the,
good.
they held their own.
They really did. They held their own. The possession was pretty even. Like nobody really dominated this game. Switzerland just was able to finish a good chance that they had, and that was really the difference. But
Hmm.
um, yeah, I mean, definitely saw really good um play from both teams, and uh, Switzerland was able to just do enough, obviously, to just squeak out this win. But
Oh yeah.
Cameroon could still give Serbia and even Brazil some difficulties. So uh, that's going to be very interesting to see.
Yeah. Cameroon, you never know. Maybe could sneak their way out of the group, but we would just have to wait and see. Next up, with 3 matches to go. This one, ooh, I don't really know how to describe this one, but we had Uruguay versus South Korea, and I feel like maybe rather disappointingly it ended in a 0-0 draw. Do you think there should have been goals in this game? How many? Did one team look better than the other?
Yeah, this one was tough. I mean, Uruguay. I think they did deserve to get this win, Uruguay. I mean, um, it was very close though.
Mm.
Uruguay had some good quality chances, just very unlucky not to finish them. Um, I think I know they had Valverde. He hit the crossbar like 20 yards out. I think they had another post hit, like
Mm.
super unlucky for Uruguay, just failing to really put away their opportunities. Um, but that's part of the game. So for South Korea, obviously, it was great for them to have carbon fiber masks on on the
Yes,
field.
sir.
He is a difference maker for
Representing.
that team. You can tell just in his quick playability, what he's able to bring in terms of leadership, and just pure talent and composure for this team. Um, and I mean, South Korea, they had chances, but I mean, with 0 shots on target, it really wasn't,
They
anything
got the
too
result they needed,
threatening. Yeah, I mean,
pretty
they were
much.
able to, um, you know, just hold on for that point, but um,
they're gonna need to do something to prepare for the other two teams. I
Yeah,
don't think they can play like that against either Ghana or Portugal.
yeah, they definitely are gonna need to change something because they're a little lucky Uruguay did not get the goal.
Mm.
But they held their own and fought hard, and that's what a lot of the Asian teams have been doing in this cup.
Fighting hard.
They really have been. They've been quite a surprise.
It's
So
their home continent, Qatar. So
exactly. So we'll see what happens with both these teams, but I think Uruguay is going to be good in this group. They look strong. They have good talent. Strong forwards. So the goals will come for them.
yeah, we will have to see. Yeah, I mean the one thing stopping Uruguay is the next two teams that we'll be talking about in this next matchup. Because this game might have been one of, if not the most entertaining game in the entire match day one.
Yes.
And it happened on Thanksgiving Day. Portugal versus Ghana, and Portugal won 3-2. Maybe somewhat lucky to avoid a last second dramatic tie from Ghana. Would have been the most memed goal of World Cup history, I guess. I don't know, but Seth, I mean, as a Portugal connoisseur, with lack of a better word to say.
Yeah.
How did you feel about their performance, Ronaldo's performance in particular, and you think Ghana was a bit underrated in this one?
Yeah, certainly. Ghana, I mean, man, dude, they fight so hard every World Cup they're in, and they just get so unlucky, man. They're always unlucky. I mean, whether
So
that's whether it's 2010 Luis Suarez handball or this game, like just so unlucky. Definitely a very underrated team. But yeah, I mean, Portugal, slow start, very slow start. Obviously, it was 0-0 at halftime for the
Literally at the half.
so
5 goals in that last 45.
yeah,
In that last 25 minutes.
Yeah, so once obviously Portugal got the penalty, very
game opened
debatable. But Cristiano Ronaldo put it away to open the scoring. First player to score in 5 straight World Cups.
Wild.
Absolute GOAT, Cristiano Ronaldo. But yeah, that really just opened up the floodgates right there. That penalty kick, and Ghana never gave up. They just kept fighting hard, and then obviously they got super unlucky. As honestly, it was pretty poor defending on that Joao Felix goal. Pretty poor defending, letting that through ball just come right through on the right side, not able to clear it. But it was a very nice goal by Portugal. And then just 2 minutes later, Rafael Leao, again, another through ball on the left side, beautiful curling goal. And Ghana, though, they didn't give up. They were still they were down 2 goals at that point, but they came in, fought hard, and scored in the 89th minute and made it 3-2. And then, everybody thought it was over. And then obviously at the end there, wow, the keeper almost just lost his starting spot or his whole
he would have gotten
career on Portugal if he let that one go in. So obviously I'm sure you all know what we're talking about at the end there. But yeah, Ghana super unlucky. They fight hard though. They play hard, but Portugal just at the end of the day, too much quality, and they have so many scoring threats, as you can see, as 3 different players scored, and they just have a lot of different options and ways they could play up front in their attacking phase. So Portugal team is definitely dangerous. Got a little lucky they with this win, but they definitely didn't play like the best they could have, but it was a huge 3 points for them.
Yeah, very much so. Puts them on top of the group for now, going into the second match day. And let's just get to it. The final the final match of Matchday 1 literally
Final
ended
game.
like, I don't know, 9 hours before we're recording this because we had Thanksgiving to do after this, but or after that game. But Brazil versus Serbia, and it was 0-0 for quite some time. But my fantasy player somehow, Richarlison, came through and opened the scoring. He netted both goals in there actually, and unfortunately Neymar got hurt. Hopefully he's not out for long. But man, that second goal by Richarlison was a beauty. Brazil, they obviously didn't look as dominant as like Spain did, for example. But like,
Right.
did Brazil, like, do they still look like that same
Yeah.
powerhouse?
No, I mean, obviously, they didn't win 7-0 like Spain, but they look dominant. They really did. I I was really shocked by Serbia's performance. Pretty poor on my part.
Hmm.
I mean, 0 shots on target. Just weren't really able to push the ball down the field. And every time they tried a through ball or ball over the top, just Brazil's defense and midfield were always there to, we're always there to cut it out and win those 50-50s. So, great job by Brazil there. And
Right.
kind of disappointed in Serbia that they weren't able to do more. I mean, I know Brazil is a heavy favorite, one of the best teams in the world, if not the best. But I thought Serbia, with the talent they had, would be able to do a little bit more. But yeah, we'll see how they'll be for the rest of the tournament. A little worried, but
Switzerland
again,
and Cameroon,
this was against Brazil, so I'm kind of giving them a little bit of a pass. So I think they'll be okay, but we'll see what happens. But let's just talk about Brazil to end this podcast, shall we?
Yeah.
I mean, just a beautiful performance, man. All phases of the game.
They have stars at literally every position. It's kind of
Yeah, I mean, like,
it's unfortunate, or not unfortunate, but it's scary. It's scary to think about.
like-
It's unfair. That's what the word I
like-
was looking for.
like their whole bench could have started for Serbia's like national team. Like, it's just the amount of depth they have is just insane. I mean, you got Neymar and Vinny Jr. and Richarlison, Rafinha. Like, that's an insane attack. And they showed why Brazil is just him. Why Brazil is that guy, that team. I mean, man, just the defense played so well. Marquinhos, Thiago Silva really well. Even Alexandro, he had a shot from like 30 yards out that hit the post. It was insane. The midfield played well with Paqueta and Casemiro. Did a really good job holding it down. They had a few long shot efforts that were kind of close. But then the attack, man. Neymar just looking so good as he always does for his nation. Just dribbling through Serbian players like they're nothing. Always drawing fouls, always drawing so much attention. Same thing with Vinny Jr. And Rafinha, both wingers able to really punish the Serbian fullbacks on their respective sides. Able to always win their one-on-ones, put in very dangerous crosses. And this Brazil team, man, they are going to punish you with chances, chances and shots and crosses and their dribbling ability and especially their technical ability on the ball. They're just such a complete team, and look so good. Really strong, dominant win. And I gotta say, hats off to Richarlison getting the brace. Beautiful second goal, a little scissor kick goal there. To really secure the game. I take it back. I was a little I was a little shocked they started Richarlison over Gabriel Jesus, but I guess I was wrong, man. Richarlison looked really good this game, and not that I don't think Richarlison's a bad player, but he's been injured, hasn't really been playing for Tottenham a lot. I was a little nervous he wouldn't be in great form, but That's why I'm not a manager.
Something
So
happens at the World Cup.
yeah, so he looked good. Obviously, the big news is Neymar's injury. He got a ankle injury, and it looked a little, or not a little, pretty swollen. They showed a picture of it.
Yeah.
And that will be very concerning if Neymar.
Is
Brazil will be okay, but when
Yeah.
you can't lose a player like Neymar though. It's just your captain, your leader. It's just heartbreaking. So hopefully he makes a speedy recovery and will be okay and fit. But
At this point, honestly, I feel like with the teams Brazil has coming up, they could very well sit him for the next 2 games in the group stage and just cruise through to the knockouts.
they probably could.
Just let him rest and recover.
Yeah, you're right. They could.
Because Brazil doesn't really have any real tests in this group stage, at least in my opinion. I don't know. I mean, like Switzerland might put up some fight.
No, you're right. They don't. I mean, I compare I think Switzerland and Serbia are on a very similar level, and then, I mean, Cameroon obviously looked very good today, in my opinion, but I think it'll be too much when they play Brazil. So, depending on how bad the injury is, you could be right. It could be a smart move. So we'll see what happens, but. Yeah, I think for me, definitely, 3 teams that impressed me the most in this group first round: England, Spain, and Brazil.
Yeah,
those are 3 teams that really, really impressed me. So
they looked great.
Yeah, this. Gonna be a very interesting World Cup. I'm very excited for the next
match day.
Yes,
it'll be fun to watch, and yeah, that'll be interesting. And you'll get to see a lot of those games too because they're on the weekends.
Yes,
but
should be very nice.
But yeah, so that's pretty much gonna do it. Match day 1 was super entertaining, and we'll be back. I guess Monday night / Tuesday morning covering match 2 for you guys, our reactions to all those matches. Who knows, some of these countries that had dominant wins might lose their next match, and that could shake everything up.
Yep.
Kind of hoping that happens with the US, but regardless, we'll see what happens there.
Right.
But yeah, Seth, last question for you. What, besides England USA, which match day 2 match do you think you're looking forward to the most? If you want to look through.
Let's take a look here.
Scroll down. There's some good ones.
Well, England USA is obviously going to be quite interesting. But I said it. I said it in the prediction podcast. For me, it's Sunday, November 20th at 2 p.m. Spain, Germany.
That's gonna be
that's gonna be a game.
That's the one. That pretty much determines if Germany goes home.
Portugal, Uruguay as well.
Oh, they play Uruguay in this match. Okay, that'll be good too.
That one as well will be very interesting. And France, Denmark. I'll throw a third one in there.
We got some solid games. Some
yeah.
very solid ones to look forward to.
Should be good. Should be very good.
So alrighty, we will catch you guys later. Obviously, the prediction videos from our first podcast will still be going up for each game because we predicted every game in that podcast. But this one is just a recap from these first 16 games, and we're pretty excited. This World Cup, despite all the controversy, on off the field with Qatar, this World Cup so far has been very entertaining.
Has been, for sure.
And yeah, so we're enjoying it, and I hope you guys are too. We will see you guys. We'll see you guys soon. I'm Gabe. Here's Seth, and Simone will be with us in the next podcast. We will talk to you guys later.